welcome everyone to this third and I promise final Italian episode of the Caravan Tour of Terror, a show that finds us touring the globe through the medium of horrific, chilling and disturbing entertainment. My name's Donald and I'm the driver on this quest. Joining me at my side as always with a road atlas on his lap and what I'm assuming is a gun in his pocket is my navigator Ali. Say hello, Ali.
Hi, Donald. I've given up on the Italian.
He's sick of it.
The locals do not like it. They don't.
Where are we this time? Well, we're at Caravan Park Sexton. Sexton by name, Sexton by nature. No, I don't know what that means. Slap bang in the middle of the imposing Dolomites. Look at them, they're very impressive. We're here because we're just about to leave Italy, but before we do, we've learnt about a local cemetery with a returner problem and a brooding Gothic caretaker. Ali, tell us about today's film, Cemetery Man, or Dellemorte Dellemore.
Well, I've been spending the entirety of this trip...
Give it a bit of energy.
No, that's the... You need to let me get the...
Oh, no.
I'm still in the bit. You're the one that messed this up. Yeah, no, you're the one that messed this up.
I'm keeping this in. So don't say you've messed it up because it's staying in. You just sound so beaten down.
I am beaten down. I've spent the entire journey up carving crosses into bullets to make them dum-dums.
You officially hate Italy is what you're saying.
Well, whoa, I am not going to say such things on this podcast.
Yeah, that's not the official podcast view. That's just your view.
No, whoa. No.
Could you please give everyone your personal email address rather than the podcast? caravantourofterror@gmail.com. Right, Ali, buck up, get through it, proceed.
So, Cemetery Man is a wild ride that involves Rupert Everett.
Done.
Yeah. No, Rupert Everett is a caretaker for a graveyard in a small Italian town filled with British people. It's weird.
With Italian names.
with Italian names. His name is Francesco Dellemorte.
Yep.
And
his best English friend is called Franco. Yep.
Yeah. The only person that doesn't I suppose is Nagy a name?
Nagy. I don't know. Yeah, I guess.
You give it to something that's a name. But yeah, he takes care of this graveyard. And the graveyard has a problem, which seems known by the mayor and, let's say, the police chief, that the dead come back to life roughly 7 days after they die. Roughly. It's roughly. Yeah. It seems to get quicker as the movie goes on.
The logic of this film, yeah, there's not very much of it.
And he, first things first, Rupert Everett is so jacked, and they want you to know that right off the bat. It was just
he wears he's either topless or he's wearing flowing white shirts, wet hair. He's very gothic,
very 90s
dish.
Yeah, it's very 90s in that his suit doesn't fit him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hanging off his frame.
It really is. But he takes care of this problem as the dead come back as returners. And to say there's a plot in this movie would really, really be a lie. And I wouldn't want to do that because this movie is literally just his kind of descent into madness because he hates his job and he hates his life. It's a very nihilistic movie.
Yeah.
But it's also a comedy, so...
It's
also a comedy. I didn't laugh.
It's not a gut buster.
But it is so over the top.
Yeah.
Broody, like...
It takes place... It's not realistic. It takes place in some other weird reality. Do you know what I mean by that? It's like... I think people call it hyper-real. Like, it's not... The logic of the real world doesn't really apply to this film in a lot of ways, obviously. But also how people react to him and stuff, and what happens with the plot. It's all very strange.
Yeah. And there is bits I will talk about, and that progresses as the movie goes on. That kind of dissociation from everything and everyone around him.
Pre-spoilers. It's a love story, basically, isn't it? I mean, pre-spoilers, I'm sure we could talk about he's killing these returners, but I'm going to call them zombies and returners interchangeably. He's got Nagy, his friend.
His disgusting, also, like, almost mute.
He says one word a lot of the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he communicates in grunts
utters,
and single words and gutterances.
Yeah, he's a simple man and unfortunately the butt of a lot of jokes, which is a bit annoying that 2 out of the 3 movies we've watched in Italy have had that happening. Oh dear.
No, but
anyway.
it's really the disgustingness of it. Like they often cut to him when he's like drooling or shoveling face all over his face. It's
At one point, he meets the mayor's daughter, who is a child, falls in love with her. I mean, she's between 14 and 16. He's like early middle-aged, bald, fat man. Yeah, and he's so in love with her that he vomits all over her.
The one thing I did look up over this movie
was his age.
Was the age of Rupert Everett and the actor that played Nagy. Rupert Everett was like 20, I think like 26 or something like that.
His cheeks could cut glass.
Nagy is 28.
Wow. He wears it not well.
Yeah, but there's 2 years difference between them.
Oh my god.
He meets the mayor's daughter, this like teen girl.
There's 2 love stories going on.
And
there's 2.
And he first he stares at her drooling, drooling again, and then just vomits on her.
It's horrible.
I mean, then she just gets someone goes, "Do you want to ride on a motorbike?" And she goes,
"Hey, whoa, spoilers, yeah." So she has a
no, it
lovely
wasn't good for
ride.
But it's just in the sense that it's just the fact that right after she gets vomited on, she literally goes, "Oh, okay, let's go."
Yeah, it was this.
I would
be
like,
guy,
I need to go home now. I would probably vomit. I would probably just vomit there and then.
So not only does Nagy have that moment where he instantly falls in love with a girl he's just seen for the first time, but that also happens to Francesco when he sees the much younger partner of a recently deceased guy, at his funeral, and basically decides he's going to basically marry
Donald. Yes? I
Yes?
think you mean the recently widowed of a fuck machine. And they make that so clear.
Yeah, it's
that he fucked so good.
I lied earlier. I did get a laugh because they like have a snog or something right on the grave, or like they're getting a bit hot and heavy right next to the grave, and there's a picture of the guy on the gravestone, and it turns from him looking blankly ahead to him like looking at them like, what? That made me chuckle. Yeah. That made me chuckle. Right, that's as far as I'm going pre-spoilers, I think. Not that it matters, particularly.
I don't know. So right, this is like he clearly has this. I'm speaking out the window of the caravan at this point. He clearly has an idea of what constitutes spoilers and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Apart from 2 or 3 bits in this movie, I have no idea because it doesn't have a plot.
Yeah, I know. I chose an arbitrary point in my mind, basically.
Great.
Well, yeah. So, people that might care about that thing, that kind of stuff, will have to skip ahead. Do we think you should bother? No, because this movie's nonsense. But just in case they do. So, also, when they are snogging, you get those little blue spirits that are clearly just like flames or something. Little blue flames hovering around them. And they are
what the ping pong balls on fire
on wires.
On clearly visible
Clear wires. It's awful. I think that the advent of DVD quality really did this movie dirty because they're so obvious. It's crazy. Then we find out that Rupert's impotent, which I thought was a weird joke, but actually is one of the main driving forces of theme of this film.
So,
and it comes back so much.
But yeah, I mean, I took that as people believe he's impotent because
at the start.
Right at the start, right? Because it's right after he clearly fucks a woman.
Well, he does that more than once. But
but right at the we're talking about this moment, like right. First of all, I was like, "No, Rupert, sorry, bud," because like they have a full on,
which I thought was there's a sex scene. So
you're like, go back.
Freeze frame. Him and the girl who is unnamed. So that gets even more complicated later. Have a sex scene, and you don't see a lot, but you see his little willy, his little non-functional willy, according to the.
So no, but I took that as like so yeah. First of all, like he goes down of her like on the like, most goes down on her without showing things that you can.
Yeah.
And then he fucks her.
Yeah.
So he's not impotent. People just think he's impotent, possibly because he's the graveyard keeper.
I don't know, maybe.
Engineer. People keep calling him an engineer.
Yeah, I don't really understand what that's about either. She dies.
Hold on.
What? Why? Hold on. We're pro spoilers. We're trying to get.
How does she die? How does she die? Yeah, exactly. Because this is very important.
Oh my god, I can't remember. How does she die?
So, while they're fucking on the gravestone, her husband comes back as a returner.
Of course. Yes.
And she's like, "No, chill, bud."
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
And then he bites her on the arm.
Yep.
He shoots her husband as he shoots
Francesco. Francesco, I mean, Dellemorte shoots a lot of zombies and other people in the head.
Casually.
So yeah, instant, like he could be quite far away, bang, one shot dead. So yes, he does his business.
Yeah.
So then she's in the crypt, lying out like under a veil.
Yeah.
And there's a fly that flies on her, and that's on a wire as well.
There is. But before he takes her down, he takes her inside and he calls the doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor's, because I was thinking, I was like, love, seriously. Like you were bitten on the arm, and also this kind of like they needed to do this because otherwise this sets the thing like this is what is your rules for zombies?
Yes.
She's been bitten. It's like it's 1994. People know what zombies are at this point.
Yeah.
So he takes her in, and the doctor's like, she died of fear. That bite's nasty, but all right. Like, so she dies of fear, and he takes her down, and then she's all, and he gets. By the way, every like 4.5 goddamn minutes in this movie, Rupert Everett either out loud or through voiceover just monologues.
Oh yeah.
Like there's clearly a lot of like inspiration of those kind of old gothic horror movies, but like and playing that for comedy, as well as that kind of Edgar Allan Poe overwrought. And through the first, what I thought was half, and turned out to be 30 minutes into the film. But for the first, like, 45 minutes to an hour, like, I could see what it was going for. I just didn't, like, the jokes aren't good.
Hey, whoa.
allowed
Don't
to
slip
say
into
that.
review time here.
I'm allowed to say no, but I'm talking about the movie, like, because it tries to hit this kind of tone of, we're talking about him falling in love and her dying, and none of this is at all serious when it's happening. Like shooting through the head, like, and throughout all of it, Francesco takes this just really passive attitude, except when she dies, and then it's just like, except when he first meets her, and then has to, then when she dies, because when he first meets her, he's like, "I've never loved before," and it's ridiculous. Like, it is full on, just like lays eyes on her and is besotted, and then everything else. It's like we're all just in the moments between living and death, and
that's not bad.
We're all just returners in the end.
Oh dear.
And then when she dies, he's, it is the most tragic thing. And he has literally known her to like a weekend. I'll call it a long weekend. He's known her. He meets her, bumbles it, meets her, does better, meets her, fucks her, dies.
Very rude.
Who hurt him?
They made sweet love.
Oh, sorry. I'm earning that explicit tag. So yeah, it takes this really, really, like, I don't know, like Zucker-esque airplane.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Yeah.
It's that kind of like real, like, wink and nod to the camera at times.
Yeah, but not that jokey.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. Just that kind of like, it's not like an inflatable Undertaker pops out. But yeah, that kind of tone at certain points of like nothing serious, and it's like that kind of world, like you were saying, of that, like, you wouldn't believe these people existed in a real world. Except for the sweet little old lady who is so concerned about what her grave is going to be like.
So let's go back to the mayor's daughter jumping on that motorbike. The whole gang of them.
Oh, you mean love story number 2?
Runs slap bang into a bus, so she gets her head. I mean,
this is a turning point in the movie, I felt.
I think the turning point's a slightly different point, but we will discuss that.
I'm meaning personally.
Oh, right, okay.
For me, this is where the movie actually became like way more entertaining.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Like, literally with the crushing of the head. It's really bad.
So the head gets completely smooshed to smithereens, but then they managed to stitch her back together and bury her in a glass coffin somehow, so that Nagy can still pine for her. And then obviously he digs her up, pulls her head off.
the digging, yeah.
And then she's talking because she's a returner, so that she has complete conversations with him, because the logic of this film is basically meaningless, and they fall in love again, sort of, for the first time. I'm sure she says, "Oh, I don't have any choice in the matter, but it's okay. I'm okay with this anyway."
Yeah, I noticed that line too.
Yeah. Well, there's a worse one that comes up a bit later.
No, that's just an entire story
that's
in
awful.
This movie.
Oh God, Dellemorte has to. Oh God, Dellemorte. It's hard because she's not named, I don't think. So Dellemorte's love interest comes back. Yeah, the woman comes back in the crypt. He glancingly shoots her in the head. For the one time he basically misses.
That's what I was saying. I was like that would hurt, but that wouldn't even kill me.
Yeah. Then later on, she comes back as a returner, and he shoots her properly, and then he realizes that the last time he shot her, she wasn't actually dead. She was just waking up.
Yeah,
which is
so
odd.
She did not die of fear, and that's doctor.
The worst doctor. But he blames himself as if it's anything to do with him. It's obviously not.
Yeah, it's literally his job. It's literally his job to shoot things that come back to life. He got the medical doctor to do the medical doctor bit.
Then they're burning all this stuff. They have a bonfire of all mementos and things, and they burn. Yeah, so he's got a habit where he reads phone books, and then Maggie accidentally.
It starts as a joke. It starts as a joke.
It's still a joke. It's just a weird joke
it's
to
a
me.
bad running. It's a bad running joke. But yeah, he that weirdly ties into the plot in some ways. So yeah, at the start of the movie, he's like, "I've only ever read 2 books in my life, and one of them was the phone book." And I was like, "Dude, you've read the phone book? Like that's impressive in the same way that, like, you know, I built enough origami cranes as high as Everest."
Yes.
Like, okay, like no one should ever do that, but okay, go you. But it turns out he actually did read the phone book.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he gets bitten, which is my turning point for the film's narrative. She bites him right on the shoulder. So that happens, but he seems fine. He just carries on with everything. They're burning all the mementos. Nagy puts a phone book on the fire. He's like, "Oh, that's a classic." But then the ashes turn into
material we've got.
The ashes turn into a pretty good model of a skeletal Grim Reaper who tells him that he should actually go and kill the living rather than the dead. And after that, it's all weird.
I'm not going to lie. When that Grim Reaper showed up, I was like, didn't know this was a Discworld movie.
Oh, it really does sound the same as, yeah.
But also looks like it's and I mean that as
he's
a
got
compliment.
wings, weirdly. Mm-hmm. But I do think it looks cool.
Sorry, Donald. What does the Grim Reaper look like?
Well, I never thought he had wings.
Really? I've seen a few winged Grim Reapers. I definitely do mean that as a compliment. Like that model, actually, like I really liked that model, and so yeah.
And then shit just gets weirder, I'd say.
So you're saying we turn into spoilers now? Is this where this goes?
Spoilers was ages ago. I think spoilers is when she dies. I think I'm arbitrarily selecting that as the point where spoilers happen. It's totally arbitrary, I know it is, but it's... Oh, God. Then basically the film becomes... He meets her 2 more times. It's really weird.
Right, yeah.
It's the same actress playing different girls. And he falls in love with each other basically as soon as he sees them. Instantly. Yeah. The second one's the most... No, it's not. The last 2 are both... I was about to say the second one's the most problematic, but no, it's not, because I just remember what happened to the third one. They're both really problematic. The second one's really problematic because he meets a girl who says she's phobic of erect penises. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, this is the best scene of the film for me. He goes to the doctor, he says, cut it off. And then the doctor gets sheep shears. It's an awesome scene, but then decides he's going to inject him with a chemical castration thing, and then obviously he needs to go straight in dick. Not that you see that, but Rupert Everett's screaming, and I'm like, you want him to cut it off? Like, why are you?
Yeah, without anaesthetic.
Without anaesthetic. Why are you being such a fucking idiot about a needle going to it?
It apparently stops him having an erection for a month.
Yeah. Because the girl's afraid of erections, but he's already impotent. I don't. Anyway,
he's not. Like this is what I'm saying is like he. It's just a weird thing about what the townspeople think of the grave digger.
Maybe, yeah. At one point, they let him. They say he's not a suspect in a crime because they know he can't get up and stuff. It's weird. They all know.
So the first. We'll get into that because I've got a decent through line of the murder story. There's about 8. Like this is what I'm saying. There's no plot to this movie. There's just about 8 little plots all going on at the same time. Yeah. So the penis phobic woman, love number 2 for Francesco, comes to him right after this wonderful doctor scene and is like, something wonderful has happened, darling. And we get to the most, I'm definitely saying the most problematic scene in the movie.
Yeah, it is.
And he's obviously, first of all, he kisses her for way too long. And then she's like, so I had a meeting with the mayor and he raped me. And he is horrified. Right, first of all, he's horrified in a way that I was like, are you horrified at him or her?
Yeah,
because he definitely recoils in a way that's like, ooh.
Yeah.
And I was already a bit like...
on guard.
No, Donald, I was more than on guard at this point. And then she goes, no. It's okay. I liked it. And it's caused my phobia of peni.
Yeah, then they did it again. She's fallen in love with him.
Yeah.
And now they're going to be together forever.
But she still loves him.
She still loves him.
It doesn't matter.
Bye.
It doesn't matter. He's impotent anyway. So you're never going to... She's just never in the movie again.
Yep. And then third love story. He's in the cafe wallowing.
Between these...
Oh, okay, yeah.
Between these is where the movie really descends, and this is where the murders kind of come into play because when his first love dies, we never mentioned that. The police detective is he questions Francesco, and he's like, oh, how did this happen? And he's like. And he's going, oh, well, doesn't matter. You couldn't have done it because you can't get it up. And it's, it's that a lot. Mm-hmm. And there's a real thing of like everything in this town has to be pristine and wonderful because the mayor has he's 15 times re-elected. And the thing is, it doesn't seem like that nice a place. Francesco often goes out and he gets like yelled at, and like there's people sitting about, like loitering and angry and scary ways. It's not like the Detroit, Italy of what we saw before, but it's definitely a kind of like. It's not things aren't the paradise that the mayor and the police chief want things to be. Yeah, and Francesco plays a huge part in that with his returner business. They are both aware of it. Never mention it ever. So when Francesco, between love number 2 and love number 3, starts just descending into madness because he's been bitten, she's left him, he just takes his gun out and just starts blasting people. Yep. Starts blasting the youths that yelled at him, and then drives home. And then
the Grim Reaper told him to do it.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper told him to do it. What would you do, Donald, if the Grim Reaper was like, yo, dude, go kill people? Terry Pratchett told me to tell you. And he wakes up to the police chief, and the police chief's like, where were you between these hours and these hours? It was just because your car was, down there. And he even says, maybe your assistant. He's like, he can't drive. Like, he refuses to even contemplate the idea that Francesco might have done this. And this becomes, like, more and more severe. He goes out and commits more murders, and
it gets crazy.
Blank refuses. And it all starts culminating with love number 3, which he just randomly meets in a bar. Yes. He is sitting feeling forlorn. Love number 2 has left him, and he just sits there being miserable. First, on his way there, he drives past some prostitutes, but drives away from them to go to the bar. And this girl sits down, and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" Blah blah. And he is just like super stone faced. It plays better in a graveyard, Rupert. Seriously, like you just come across as an asshole in a bar when you be the broody undertaker. And she says, "I've got a friend," and her friend
lo
is
and behold,
the woman.
Again.
So he goes, again. So he gives them a lift home.
Yep.
And and the woman makes him come inside by saying, I make wishes come true. And he says, fall in love with me.
Yeah.
And she says, I already have.
Yeah.
And then they make
sweet whoopee.
Sweet whoopee
he does
over
say,
and over again.
He doesn't think it'll work, but then...
Yeah, because he's had his month-long penis injection.
But then they just do it a few times.
It just happens.
Yeah.
Donald. I mean, if I was being crass, you're not giving the man enough credit. They're like animals.
Oh dear. Then he goes to get some wine and twist.
The friend says, hey, you can just pay me if you want.
Yep.
And he is disgusted.
So how does he deal with this in a sensible, mature way?
He puts a 2-bar heater in her bed, covers it with a blanket so it catches fire, and then walks out.
Yep.
Just
murder.
I was like, double murder, triple murder. There was a third one in there. They had a third roommate. And I was like, I mean, she's definitely not cool there, because at no point does she make it clear that she is a prostitute and that he should be paying for this.
Also, she deserved it.
No, this is what I'm saying. But that is quite
overreaction. Oh dear.
So he goes back to.
He just fucks off.
He just fucks off back to the cemetery as he always does. And again, he gets questioned by the police chief.
He says specific to the police chief, "Oh, I bet you want to know where I was between 1 and 3 last night."
Yeah. That's how I start every conversation with everyone, actually.
Oh dear. But lo and behold, the inspector's like, "Oh, no, it's fine. We found this check with your name on it, but it doesn't matter. This is we've got the actual killer. It's your best friend Franco, who also killed his wife and child, tried to kill himself. He's responsible for all these murders and he's in hospital."
Yep.
So
and it's just and Francesco gets furious at the fact that it's just, even though it's blatantly him, even though he's like that they are not even willing to look at him for it.
It's like his insecurities about other men are factoring into murders as well. It's because all the other men that seem to be in this film that are mentioned as fuckers do so incredibly well, whereas he's supposed to be impotent, and then he keeps going around killing people, and these other men seem to be getting, or like he's just ignored completely. Yeah, he's completely ignored. So he goes to visit Franco in hospital.
This is the climax of the movie. This is the it goes
bizarre.
off the rails from here.
I would argue it was off the rails already, but fair enough. He visits his friend on this nice set. It's like a circular. It's weird. There's like screens around the beds, and it's like in isolation. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah. It's kind of that, like, if you imagine, basically an operating theater, but without any of the walls. It's just darkness where walls should be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And he's obviously pissed off at Franco for all this. And then a nun comes in, just And he just shoots her in the head. She falls over. Then a doctor comes in and asks, "Oh, sister, what are you doing on the floor?" Anyway, blah, blah. And the doctor's a piece of shit because he's like, "Oh, I could, turn off his life support for you if you wanted. This guy, means nothing." So he shoots the doctor in the head. Then the nurse comes in and he shoots the nurse in the head. And it just reminded me... oh God, I didn't even notice that. But it just reminded me of when you play Hitman and someone discovers you. Then the next person discovers you and you just end up with a pile of bodies. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so the big difference between the doctor and the second nurse is that the second nurse is actually scared. The doctor comes in and is completely, as you said, like, he's like, she's sleeping, and he's like, oh, weird.
Yeah. But that's true. The nurse is, like, she's scared in his presence.
Yeah. And he demands Franco tell him why he's taking credit for all of this. And Franco doesn't know who he is. He just looks at him with fear. So Francesco runs out and things become...
He runs into the inspector who's like, there's a murderer on the loose. And you've got a gun. Good. You can defend yourself.
It's really great. It is the absolute peak of his madness because he does say, like, there's a madman on the fourth floor shooting people. And as he's as he's walking out, you've got a gun, good, defend yourself. And he screams at them, like, why won't you notice? Why? Like,
everyone notices. Everyone
Rupert
filters
Everett
away.
Scream.
And everyone filters away.
Do you want to talk about the climax? Because
so Dellemorte and Nagy, he decides it's best if he just gets the fuck out of here because it's driving him insane. So they drive away from town. There's a monologue going on. He's talking about what they're doing. They drive through a tunnel, and then when they get out of the tunnel, the roads, the highway that they were driving on just it's just broken, and there's just like
Silent Hill. It's like Silent Hill.
There's nothing in front of them. The road leads to nowhere. I actually thought it was going to do the thing where he drives through and they end up back in the village.
I also thought he was going to do the thing where he drives through and he's back in, because he leaves the town, and within moments he's in the tunnel, and it's that kind of like he has got out of the town.
The tunnel's really unnaturally, not unnaturally, but it seems very long and in darkness for a long time, so it's clear something's going to happen. But then the road's just ended, it's crumbled, there's nothing in front of them. So obviously he freaks out a little bit at this.
And slams on the brakes because he had to stop the car. And Nagy smashes his face off the dashboard.
Yeah. I wasn't even going to bother talking about that.
Fair enough.
But so Nagy's got this headwind. You can talk about it if you want. Go ahead. I was just gonna cut to the actual meat of the ending. What is that soap? Was it General Hospital, where in the finale it turns out that it was all in the mind of a child, and because it zooms out of the hospital and the hospital's in a snow globe. And that I think it's General Hospital, one of these trashy shows. But the problem with that is that this was in the 90s when TV shows like to do crossovers. So there was a guy who played a detective in loads of TV shows, and he'd been in General Hospital. He'd also been in X-Files, and he'd also been in other shows, which meant that you can Google it. There's an entire universe, canonical universe of TV shows that all take place in the mind of this one autistic child because of all the crossovers they did. And that's what this film does. It starts snowing, it zooms out, and the two of them are little figures in a snow globe as credits roll.
There's another one like that, but it's not coming to mind yet. So, but yeah, it is. It's and I feel the moments between the breaks and the snow globe are quite important.
Mm-hmm.
You know that essentially Nagy dies from his head wounds, and Rupert Everett knows he has to shoot him in the head, Returner style.
Yeah.
So he prepares 2 bullets, ostensibly for him and Nagy, and can't bring himself to shoot Nagy in the head. And that was actually a moment I liked, because earlier in the movie he says, he talks about if he became a returner, and he says, "Oh, Nagy wouldn't be able to put me down. You know, he couldn't harm a breath on me." And he comes out to Nagy about to attack him because he's been bitten. And that kind of flip there, where he can't bring himself to actually shoot Nagy. Nagy then wakes up and speaks for the first time.
That's true. Yeah.
And Rupert, and he says, "Oh man, this is awful. Can you take me back?" And he turns to Rupert Everett, and Rupert Everett goes, "Nag," like the same way Nagy had done the entire movie. Then you get the pan out to the snow globe.
Yes.
And fuck me.
Right, I've googled it while you were explaining all that. It was Saint Elsewhere. The character was Tommy Westfall, and because there was a Detective Munch that appeared in Law and Order and the X-Files, there's the Tommy Westfall universe, in which all these all these shows are creations of this one character. And it's also been called one of the worst finales of all time in TV history. Because it completely reduced a multiple year TV show as completely redundant. This movie, not the same situation in terms of the effect of the ending. It's just funny that they did the snow globe ending.
It's I found my Thomas. So Thomas Lennon, who's an actor, mostly appears in. He's that kind of guy in sitcoms where you'll see him in every sitcom at least once. That kind of thing. He is in Memento as a doctor, and he is in The Dark Knight Rises as a doctor. And he believes that they are in the same universe. I quite like that. I mean,
that's cool.
Definitely make that into a Batman villain. And that's what this movie's about.
So that's the movie. Do you like it?
No.
Nah. So,
I enjoyed the second half a lot more than the first half for a lot of reasons. Even the humor, I felt was landing.
It's admirably batshit. You have to give it that.
Oh yeah.
It's
but
crazy.
That's the end has real flavors of Brazil, Terry Gilliam style, full on. The world is falling apart in a way that is theatrical to a certain extent.
Yeah,
becoming a weird stage play. And I really like that. I think a lot of it is.
It's unfortunately it's not the movie I wanted it to be, because I wanted it to be a bit more fun and a bit less. Yeah. I said specifically it was going to be a palate cleanser after the other 2 movies that we've done here, which are both full to the brim of significance and imagery. And unfortunately, this movie is too. I just don't care enough to look it up, not look up, but kind of think about it too much. I wanted fun, and I got a not quite literal.
You got a movie full of metaphors for fascism and straight up nihilism.
Yeah, so great. I could see why people would really. This will be some people's fucking favorite movie, right? Mm-hmm. I could see why they might like it, but it didn't really particularly do anything for me.
I think one of the things that actually pulls it down, and if it wasn't made in the 90s, and I feel like at certain points it has a very 90s comedy attempt in it. And if it just tried to make its own weird comedy, yeah, it might not have been. I don't know how successful it was, but it might not have been as liked. But I think it would have flowed better as a movie. Like those early jokes are really like they just fall very flat, and I think that is a product of its.
I don't think it's trying to make you laugh out loud, and if it is, it doesn't succeed. But it's more like wry, dark.
But there are moments where I'm like, nah, they're definitely wanting a chuckle out of you here.
Do you think? I don't know, but that might just be because it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, no, but that's
it might just be generosity on my part.
Yeah, I definitely I think Rupert Everett does a great job in this. A lot like his physical acting is very good. Especially there's a scene where he's driving into the graveyard, and the old woman who's constantly obsessed with her grave is coming out, and she starts talking to him, and he puts on a face. Like, you talk about faces that can't be bothered. This was an entire body that couldn't be bothered, including the car, and he works it so well. Like,
I remember the moment.
It's a great physical piece of comedy, and that made me chuckle. Like, that was a great moment of like, no, that was funny. The other moments, I feel, didn't really hit that. I feel, if this movie was maybe made a wee bit late, then again, if it was a 2000s comedy, it might have been even worse. Let's move it back to the 80s.
The boner jokes would have been much more egregious.
God. Yeah. He would have been a skateboarding Undertaker.
I agree that he was really good. And I can appreciate that. But, like you, I was a bit like, it's not 100% holding my attention, which is weird because it's so crazy. Like, so much weird stuff happens.
That's why I like the second half way better.
Yeah, because it just dials it up even more.
Fucking goes for it.
Yeah.
And I'm genuinely tempted because I know how bad I will probably be at this, but I'm honestly tempted to call this next segment Ali Gets Themes Wrong. But just in terms of what I thought was kind of coming across, coming out of, Italy's always had a huge fascination with fascism, both in terms of their own past and the concept as a whole. It kind of lingers around a lot of their like art. And I think what I felt was happening was it was essentially Francesco's slow descent into the realization that if you are useful to a certain higher body, there's no end to what you can do. And you've seen plenty of crooked cops and crooked mayors. Like, the mayor is a sleazy scumbag in the sense that he always wanted to get a good photo. Like, there's a great moment where he's he asks to get because there's this rumor going on about the graveyard. He asked to get his daughter unearthed. And
exhumed.
To have a photo taken with her, and he's literally
for election material.
And he's literally digging her. Rupert is digging her up, and he's like, "So we've got the light here, and this is going to be a great callous as shit."
Yeah,
but never at one point is it winking a nod, we know what you're doing, and we will help you, and we will. It is none of that. It is just a facade of no, this is our Undertaker. He does amazing work at the it's that kind of how it's without question that this man is of moral standard, because he is one of the people that is useful and in this circle and in this bubble, and to the point where he will shoot 4 people in a hospital. And the police chief will be great, you've got a gun to defend yourself. And that's, I really enjoyed that laugh because it was such a hammering that home kind of moment. Yeah. And if the police chief does have that kind of long trench coat, appears out of everywhere, doesn't have too much concern about he is there to do his job. He is not there to help the people.
Yeah.
He is a police chief in title.
Yeah.
And you know so one thing is the bus that ran over the mayor's daughter is filled with kids and goes off a cliff. So like literally the next day, the police chief's like got another load for you, and they're literally like carting in like this trail of bodies, and like he's that kind of like, that is what the police are there to do.
Yep.
Mayors are there to win elections, and police are there to solve murders. Do you have a murderer? Yes. Do you have do you have the murderer? Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I feel that a lot of that gets played out, and I feel that would have been a better movie had it not been for the kind of jokes that it did try and land a lot of the time. Again, that dark humor worked really well. Like that kind of callousness from these ridiculous figures worked better as humor than Nagy scarfing down more spaghetti and spying on people when they're fucking. Like that's not it's not good humor.
Not the first time we've had it either in Italy.
Yeah. No, the first time we've had it in Italy.
Oh dear.
So that's kind of what I got from it.
That was Ali's theme corner.
Ali's theme corner.
We'd need to find a better title for that.
Yeah.
Go on. Quick.
No,
quick,
no, I'm not.
Quick. Ali's theme. We need to name it so that you feel obliged to thematically dissect even the most awful of films I might subject you to.
This is what my thought was.
Other films
You'd be like,
to
this is a horror movie from the United States called Frederick Got Fingered, I believe. Ali, could you break down the themes of it for me?
So, I looked up, right, okay. I looked up some trivia for this film, and this is gonna... Just bear with me, okay. So, the worst piece of trivia I've had to read out so far. In 2009, the horror website A Shot in the Head chose Anna Falchi's boobs from her nude scenes in this film as number 1 on their list of top 10 boobs in horror movies. Would you agree? He's ignoring that. He's not going for it, right? The ossuary that was used in the film was quite real. This is on IMDb. Supposedly, one of the crew members removed some of the bones from the ossuary during filming, but quickly replaced them the next day, claiming to have encountered an angry ghost following the removal of the bones. Right.
I mean,
that piece of trivia, right?
Like, right? I'm just.
Yeah, give me your opinions.
Yeah, the first
one distasteful. 2009. It's maybe a bit late to be doing those kind of things, guys. I'm just saying.
The second one was an interesting fact until it got absolutely bullshit.
Which makes me think that it's all bullshit.
Oh, no, but that's why I hate it so much.
No.
I was like, that's a really oh, no.
Now, let's take the theme of, is this bullshit or not? I've had to read bits of trivia out in this before, and I've always been like, is this real? It's hard to tell, right? So there's trivia on
I've seen a ghost. I've been in an ossuary.
There's trivia on the Wikipedia page, and I've seen this repeated everywhere, right? Director Martin Scorsese called Dellemorte Dellemore one of the best Italian films in the 90s. I've seen that repeatedly mentioned, right? So I was like, where is this? Okay.
Where is this quote? Yeah.
So the wiki links to the New York Times, where all it says is that he said this. It has no source, right? So then I Googled it, and I found... Okay, just bear with me. I found a paper by Douglas Kesey, where he talks about the intertwinings of death and desire and Michele Soavi's Dellemorte Dellemore. It's about 20 pages long, right? Went to the bibliography. The bibliography says that attributes the quote to Tim Lucas and Andy Black, right? Andy Black said, apparently Andy Black's source was 1998, so he can't be the original source. Tim Black was 1997. Tim Lucas, sorry, was 1997. Tim Lucas published a magazine called Video Watchdog, okay? I went on to Video Watchdog, and they sell PDFs, back issues of the magazines, right? So I think it was issue 38. So I bought issue 38. It cost me about £3.
Oh my.
Obviously, I read it, and obviously, it has no direct quote in it, okay? So I was like, great, dead end, that didn't work. Then I started Googling more. I found a website called pissedoffgeek.com. Apparently, an article in 2011 linked that quote to British critic Alan Jones, right? That website is dead, right? Alan Jones wrote a piece about Cemetery Man for the magazine Cine Fantastique, right? So I got issue... that is linked in the academic paper as well. So I was like, right, okay, I'll find that. So I got volume 25, issue number 5 of Cine Fantastique, found it, and unfortunately, I read the whole... I read the article, and it's written before the release of the film, so that's not attributable either. Now, weirdly...
How far?
In terms of what? Oh, before the release?
Like, if it was 3 months, he could have seen... Like, it's... No, I don't know if you know. Martin Scorsese doesn't have to wait for release dates.
Yeah, so it's not mentioned. So Martin Scorsese is not mentioned, and it's talking about the film and when it's going to come out eventually.
Okay.
Right? And weirdly, so Alan Jones is one of the organisers of Fright Fest. We've both been in the same room as Alan Jones over a period. So Alan Jones, there's photos on Twitter of Alan Jones. He's put up a photo on Twitter. There's a booklet. Alan Jones has kept a personal on-set memoir about this film. So he was involved in some kind of stage in the production, not in terms of the film, but he's obviously got a relationship with the film, but I still can't find him ever actually... There's no record of any interview.
I really want to find a Q&A with Martin Scorsese. Every Q&A until I get the opportunity to
this
just
is a call. Martin, contact us now and say whether you said this. I will also say that the quote morphed from being one of the best films in the 90s to being the best film of the year. So the more I followed it, it kind of changed a little bit, but I cannot ever find... Like, I'm not saying that Alan Jones has made this up for the record, because I'm sure he's he organised Fright Fest. He seems like a great guy. I just want to find the article that must have been published somewhere that this happened. So, huge tangent, can't back up that piece of trivia, and I'm fucking sick of it. Actually, this piece of trivia is not on IMDb, which is interesting. So I wonder if that was removed because of lack of evidence, but it's still on the Wikipedia page. But all it links to is another website that provides no source for it. So £3 down. Luckily, I didn't need to pay for Cinefastique. The internet's amazing. You could read all the back issues of Cinefastique. I'm probably one of the few people that's been on volume 25, issue 5 in the last wee while. But, I might look up more of them in the future.
Some man in a room just woke up. Wee red lights flashing for no reason. He's worked there 15 years. He's worked there 15 years, Donald, and that still wouldn't cover the time back to then.
Yes. I cannot find Alan Jones saying this. I know he was on set. I don't know if people have attributed this to him for lack of a better option. Can't find any source for that, and I have tried. Okay. So, and the thing that annoys me about it is whenever you read opinion pieces about this film, they always fucking mention it. As if it's kind of like, well, look, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
this is like,
I like this, but look, Martin Scorsese says this is one of the best films of the night, so you have to take my positive opinions about this film with a bit more, listen to them a bit more than you would normally. They all mention it. It's ridiculous.
I don't mean it bad. Me and Martin Scorsese can have different tastes in movies. I think this movie... The first half hour was one of the hardest half hours of this...
Shut up. Really?
No, wow. The first half hour for me was genuinely may have been the hardest half hour of this entire podcast for me.
That's quite something.
Do you want to know what other people thought of the movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you mention Martin Scorsese right now.
So Martin Scorsese, weirdly, has a review on Amazon. Who would have thought? Did you check the Amazon, Donald? So Phil Waller, reviewed in the United Kingdom, 2nd of March 2018, says, a really good film. Had everything. Sexy woman, good effects. Wow, I didn't know what to expect. But a really good film. Had everything. Sexy woman, good effects. Good gore, but in a funny way. Not a bad story. Rupert Everett played leading part amazingly well. And its sidekick was so funny.
Oh.
How I've missed this gem, I'll never know. Purchase it. Well worth the $8.99 on offer at the moment. You won't be sorry.
Jesus.
5 stars and well deserved.
We watched this on Prime, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, is it Prime or Shudder? No, it's Prime.
No,
it's
Prime. Just straight up Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime.
Alexander.
Don't pay £9.
5 stars. You'll never see another movie like this. Trust me. That was Alexander's review. Ms. E.J. Baker, who is a top 1,000 reviewer on Amazon. Guys, we got one.
We're in the presence of celebrity.
2 stars.
Oh, dear.
Very violent. Not what I was looking for in research material. And it was not for me.
What?
Shooting brains everywhere does not entertain me. It has been binned. If you love zombies coming back and being shot, and hospital nurses also being shot, and every minute or so someone being shot, you will love it. 2 people found this helpful.
Now, I don't know if I'm desensitized, but I didn't find this particularly violent, apart from the bus scene and the the nurse and the doctor, because they're living. But I mean, when the zombies get shot, it's just, I don't know, just another zombo to me. Returner, sorry.
Well, there's also when the spoilers, the mayor gets bit on the neck.
There's a bit of a chunk.
Off,
yeah,
it looks really good.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, that's just your standard.
All right.
Your standard zombo fare.
I
don't know.
1994, we've been watching movies from the 80s that looked as good as that.
Yeah. Or were much more disgustingly violent, I'd say. Like, it's fine.
Lounge Master D-963-
That's not me.
467479.
That ain't me. That's not my alternate.
We're over to IMDb now. 1 out of 10.
Ooh, the old
Possibly
1 out of 10.
the worst movie ever made. Imagine you have a choice. I'm not going to lie. See, when I find ones that are like, if you've got a choice between shoving your balls in an angle grinder and watching this movie.
Well, what's his choice?
You can either watch this movie.
Yes.
Or you can have your teeth knocked out with a hammer and a rusty chisel.
I'll watch this movie 100 times. Thank you.
Having seen this movie, I'd choose getting my teeth pounded out.
Oh, dear.
I would get more out of it than anything this movie can offer. This movie is nothing but a mishmash of unrelated nonsense. You may dig it if you're into necroporn.
You may dig it. I'm starting to think that people on the internet are quite hyperbolic. Just judging by the amount of 1-star reviews you've had to read out for us. I'm starting to think that maybe they're a bit reactionary.
Deathbed, the bed that eats, is better than this. Manimal
I've not seen that.
is
I know what
better
it
than
is.
this. Write all these down. Stroker Ace is better than this.
Now, what is that?
Megaforce is better than this.
Oh, I know what
Every
Megaforce is.
movie made is better than this. Don't waste your time. If you're bored, tune some tinfoil. Or try to drill into your own head without killing yourself.
Stroker Ace looks like a screwball car comedy with Burt Reynolds, which isn't what I was hoping out of it.
Yeah, it's times changed, mate. And our last review, Coventry.
Okay.
Says, this was 19th of July 2003. 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
Too cool for words. Then proceeds to post 7 of the longest paragraphs I've ever seen in a review in my life. I am not going to read them.
That people will dig this, as the other guy said.
It does start. Sorry, I need to get back into it.
Yes.
At a certain point in life, you realise you know more dead people than live ones. Francesco Dellemorte. Just a wee quote.
All right, yeah. He's probably got tattoos.
Just a wee quote of the movie there for you. just to warm you up before my review.
Oh no.
So yeah, quite a broad opinion, but yeah, actually, probably skewed more towards the.
I'm sure the ratings. I'm sure on Prime Video it was like 4.5 out of 5 stars, 78 reviews or whatever. And I mean, you get some really snippy reviews on Prime Video, so the only people watching this are people that love it.
By the way, a lot of the 1-star reviews. I love this movie, but the DVD region.
Oh, really?
There was a huge problem with the DVD Blu-ray release, and it was all about like region stuff.
Oh Jesus! It's weird when a cult movie just you don't see the appeal. I just find it odd. You know what I mean?
Well, is that not the point in them being cult?
Yeah, I guess, but just it's things that. Yeah, I guess. I always kind of feel like I might be able to see a bit of the worth out of it, and I guess maybe sort of I can, but God, it just wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Sorry, hair in my mouth. That was a nice image for Ali. Other films to watch. Another film that mixes romance and zombies that isn't that one called Warm Bodies, because I'm not recommending
Not
that.
the one I was gonna. I think it's the one I think you're going to say.
Really?
Yeah. Is it Korean?
No. That's a good one, but that's called Zombie for Sale. That
Zombie
is a
for
good
Sale.
one. We watched it at Fright Fest. It's definitely leans more towards the comedy of comedy horror.
Yeah. If you want a good comedy horror.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, if you want
it's a bit overlong.
Zombie comedy.
It's definitely a bit overlong. So
Donald, it's Korean.
It's pushing 2.5 hours, but it's generally a very good watch. I was going to recommend something a bit crapper. It mixes romantic zombies into a strange melting pot stew that I think is a bit off. Return of the Living Dead 3. Now, obviously, Return of the Living Dead, the first one, cult classic, as you know, send more paramedics. 3 is a bit stinky. It's definitely less artful, but it's enjoyably bad. It's like a girl gets killed, comes back as a zombie, but she's like a 90s sexy zombie, so she's like it's very like she's just out of a Cradle of Filth video. She's clad in leather. Nice. She's got weird bits of metal stuck in her that kind of look like piercings, body modification, and then like her boyfriend's still in love with her even though she's a creepy, horrible zombie.
More necro porn for you, sicko.
Yeah, it's definitely but it's no, you'd think it'd be more comedic, but it tries to be really romantic. The production quality is fucking awful. It's fun for a watch. I watched it because it was one of those video boxes in the rental place that I always looked at when I was a kid, like, what the fuck is that? That and Dentist 2, which I've not seen, but I hear Dentist 2 is one of the worst things ever. There you go. That's a little window into why I chose it. We're leaving Italy now. I promised we would.
Yeah. We promised Italy we would, I think is more important.
You've not enjoyed your time here.
That's not
Have you?
my fault.
Oh, right, okay. So, camping site Sexton. Is that what it was called? It's right.
Yes, darling.
That's right. It's right at the Austrian border, and that is no accident. We are hopping across to check out psychological horror film Goodnight, Mommy.
Good night, Donald. But what movie are we watching?
It is called psychological horror. I wonder if, again, it's maybe that kind of sleep tight way, but we'll see.
Yeah,
Psychological horror can go one way or the other wee bit.
Yeah, there's also there's always an overlap with thrillers when you get into that.
Yeah. The other Austrian movie I was looking at was like called Attack of the Lederhosen Zombies or something like that, and I thought let's cool it.
Yeah, two, and one of them was a stereotype.
Let's cool it on that. Let's go for the one that actually looks like it's going to be good, to be honest.
Yeah. So I mean, I loved Italy as a country. You all need to work in your movies.
Don't fucking say that.
What? I'll say what I want. I'm leaving the country.
Oh my god. What's your personal email address again?
It's caravantourofterror@gmail.com.
Oh no.
Yeah, on that brand. Right, start the engine. I'm sick of this place.
Bye.
Bye.
You fucking asshole.